Hi bitches, welcome back to another episode of Just a Quick Pinch. I'm your host, Connie Wang. I am so sorry for the lighting today. This is like the most annoying part of living in Boston is you just cannot control the lighting or any sort of circumstances. Anyways, today I am back for another episode. I'm so excited for you guys to hear my guest this week. My guest is Dr. Andi Jean Miro. She is like an icon. She's someone that I look up to a lot, and she's someone that I actually attended her class, The Art of Ceramic. Well, it was actually my first like grown-up dental CE, but I had so much fun. I learned a lot from her, and it was just really kind of cool breathing the same air as someone that you've looked up to for years, and having them know that you're alive in a person is just like the coolest thing ever. I got to interview her and I had a great time. But first things first, we got our Hot Girl Huddle. Hit it, editing Connie. Alrighty, so first things first, for our Hot Girl Huddle, we have our tarot cards of the week. This is like really throwing me off that I'm actually filming on a Monday morning. Usually I film all this kind of intro stuff at nighttime. So, good morning. How are you guys? I haven't had any coffee yet, so it's a rough morning so far. Alrighty, you guys. So, the card of the week is, I feel good about this one. We have the Queen of Cups. I feel like I've gotten her before. Let's see, Queen of Cups upright. Oh wait, let me show you guys on video. This is she. Good morning, Miss Queenie. Good morning. Did we like literally just have her? So the Queen of Cups upright. The keywords of the week are compassionate, caring, emotionally stable. Finally. Intuitive and in flow. When this card shows up in a reading, you are being asked to trust your intuition and pay attention to your feelings, emotions. Lead with your heart, not your head. That makes sense because I feel like I've just been doing a lot of crying recently. We'll get into that during Spit Talk. But anyways, that is what we have for our healthcare horoscope, our tarot card of the week. Now onto my eyes and O's, my ins and outs of the week. Alrighty, so my in of the week is actually more of an idea rather than like a physical thing. So Jimmy and I had the most fun date this weekend. On Saturday, we did something that made my inner child just so happy. We did pottery painting. So basically you go to one of those studios if you haven't done it before. I feel like I used to always do this for people's birthdays and stuff like that when I was a kid. I haven't done it in a while though. But basically you go to these studios and they have these like mass produced, like I swear every single pottery studio is the same. They have these like little clay like dishes and bowls, and then they supply you with like the brushes, the paints, the sponges, the smocks. The like, actually I was pretty disappointed I didn't get a smock. That's kind of part of the whole experience. Maybe they should get smocks. I feel like I would have had maybe like a more legit experience. But anyway, smocks, lack of smocks aside, I had so much fun, and you can use your dishes after because they're like non-toxic, water safe, like all that stuff. You could put them in dishwashers and stuff. So I got a little lemon juicer, mostly because the little Asian mom in me was thinking like, what is something practical that I can make that I can use for years after. So yeah, I made a little like lemon juicer, and then Jimmy made a dragon, which is not useful and will take up space, but it made him happy, so that's okay. That's okay, Connie. And yeah, that is my in of the week. And then my out of the week is, I forget if I've discussed this on this podcast. I've been doing something recently called revenge procrastination at bedtime, where basically your body is tired, your mind is tired, you know it's time to sleep. However, notice anything different? Oh my gosh, okay, I am so sorry for this jump scare. This lighting literally looks like scary. I look like I'm about to film a scary movie right now, but no, okay, obviously it's a different time of day. So I started recording Hot Girl Huddle this morning at like 8 a.m. before I went to school, but then the battery started dying. I had to charge the camera and like all 4 other batteries. Anyways, as I was saying, all 4 batteries somehow ran out. So yeah, I had to just go to school, do my whole thing, and now it's 5 p.m. and I'm back at home. But anyways, I'm pretty sure, as I was saying in this whole Hot Girl Huddle segment earlier, my outs for the week. So yeah, I am doing something called revenge procrastination before I go to bed, which is basically where I just like don't let myself go to sleep at night. I don't know, I just keep mindlessly scrolling, finding stuff to do, keeping myself up, trying to be productive until like 1 a.m. And so psychologically, the reason why we do revenge procrastination, I've actually looked this up. If you guys out there experience the same thing, we do it when we feel like we didn't get to control enough of our day. Like for example, if you feel like you didn't get to have enough fun in your day, or you feel like you're stressed about the next day and like during the day you didn't have any time for yourself. So basically your body just tries to like create more time for yourself by like revenge procrastinating sleep. But it's kind of bad because like you need sleep if anything, you need sleep the most if all day you burn yourself doing stuff that you don't want to do, but such is life. So anyways, to work on my revenge sleep procrastination, what I'm gonna do is I decided I'm gonna start taking my hot before bed shower a little bit earlier than usual. Also, I think just being mindful that I'm doing this revenge procrastination helps me, because then you're more aware of it, and then you catch yourself as you're scrolling. You're like, okay, no, stop doing this because it's not good for yourself. It's kind of like any other self-destructive bad behavior. Once you're more aware of it, then you can adequately tackle it a little bit better. Now, on to spit talk. Alrighty, you guys, so this week for spit talk, I am shitting my pants, okay? I am literally like so scared. I have my licensure exam in 2 weeks. For those of you guys that don't know, it's the last portion of my licensure exam. I just have to do 2 fillings basically and 1 deep cleaning. Now Connie, you may say like, this sounds pretty simple. You should be able to do a filling, like drill a filling, fill a filling, diagnose a caries, a cavity, whatever. But you guys, it's like different. They make this exam literally as if it's like rocket science, as if it's like brain surgery. Like, I have no idea why they make this so technical. Basically, it's kind of the same as the last one. You just have to drill a bunch of teeth to the ideal standards that they're looking for, no more, no less. But what makes this exam trickier than the other ones that I've ever taken is that on this one, there's a lot of game time decision making. You have to decide which modifications you want to make to get rid of all the cavities. You have to basically make a lot more like decision making and a lot of risk taking in order to finish the exam on time and get out all of the cavity and fill it at the same time. So I'm just kind of nervous for that. You guys know plastic teeth have always been my Achilles heel. I've always been scared of them. Disclaimer, I drill just fine. I would actually like to say I think I have pretty good hand skills, and I'm good at like making things look pretty on like people. I'm good, but I think where my problem lies is that earlier, like first year of dental school, I had a lot of self-confidence issues because my first ever practical, I took a little stumble. I let my nerves really get to me, and so my first practical I actually technically failed on account of something stupid, but then he ended up reversing it, so I ended up not failing actually, so I passed. But ever since then, that trauma of just even flipping over my paper and seeing a fail has stuck with me ever since. That's honestly like neither here nor there. Failing is like not really a big deal in dental school, unfortunately. Like everyone kind of fails something at some point. So I think part of why it's so traumatizing for me is because like I know that I'm good. I know that I can do it. If you guys are out there going through a similar thing, I actually, funny enough, I don't know how to take my own advice. I have an episode all about performing under pressure. It's actually a really good episode. I might re-listen to it myself. Basically, I like listened to a bunch of advice from these people that literally they specialize in coaching high performance people for high stress situations. Think like athletes, professional musicians. So these coaches kind of break down why people crack under pressure, how to therefore not crack under pressure, and how to just like train your mind to get in the game and then use stress to actually benefit you and make you a better player on the field or a better musician on the stage while you're experiencing those nerves and the anxiety. So definitely check out that episode. I will be after this. And yeah, that is all that's going on with me right now. You guys are only gonna see me continue to spiral downwards next week, but then after that, then I'll be done. So hopefully that will be it. I don't know. Anyways, that is all I have this week for Hot Girl Huddle. Now onto the main episode, you guys. I'm so freaking excited. Like I said, I have Dr. Andi Jean Miro. She is a cosmetic dentist, but she's not just any cosmetic dentist. She is an icon. She is paving the way for young women in dentistry, young women specifically interested in cosmetic dentistry. So yeah, without further ado, now onto my convo with Dr. Andi Jean Miro. Alrighty, everyone. So I have Andi here. Andi, as a little icebreaker, since you know you are a native New Yorker, I just want to spitfire ask you a few questions first. Okay, first of all, this is just a burning question I have. Is Carbone and Polo Club, are they worth it?
Oh my God, yes, they're worth it. If you can get a reservation, they are so worth it. I happen to love the fried olives that they give you at the Polo Bar. That's like my secret of life. During the pandemic, we had one of the major Ds bring like a box of them to us because she knew how much I enjoyed them. And
no way.
Closed during COVID, and I swear to God, there's a video of me like reaching pitches that you've never heard before. So
just
totally
octaves. Oh my gosh, wait, that's incredible. Okay, so question number 2. What is Dr. Andi Miro's coffee order?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I usually have a quad over ice in a venti cup with a splash of milk and a little bit of cold foam, no sugar.
You are such a quad girl. I love it. I'm also a quad girl. Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
it.
Okay, and last but not least, what do you think is one place, restaurant, it could be like a store or something in New York City that you think is not hyped up enough? No gatekeeping
Ooh.
here.
Oh, I'm such a gatekeeper. Because I just don't want people going to my spots.
I know, I know.
There's this cute little restaurant under an Italian restaurant in the city. It's called Seville, and it's a
Okay.
cute little bar, and it has like amazing cocktails and really good bites, and it's just a cool place, like with music. Any time of night that you can go and just enjoy the vibe of New York City.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Actually, one follow-up question. What's your go-to cocktail then?
Oh, yikes. I usually order a tequila straight, just Casamigos Reposado on the rocks.
I love that. She's like, my cocktail is tequila. Yeah, that's the cocktail. That's it. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, funny transition into this. So my experience with Andi, I mean, like, I've been like a fangirl forever. I was telling my friend, I'm like in her apartment right now, recording in her apartment. I'm like, you have no idea. I'm like kind of shitting my pants, but it's okay. But the best part of my like interactions with you has actually been when I took your class, the art of ceramic, because getting to work hands on with you, I was like, wow, not only is this woman the real deal, you are such a natural, like empathetic teacher. You're so good at teaching. How did you become such a good teacher? Because I imagine like you've had experiences in early life that have set you up to have this quality. Not everyone has this quality.
Yeah. So early in life, I can remember back to when my little sister was born that I would like line up the Barbie dolls in my room and
Oh my
like I would be
gosh.
the teacher. But that was growing up. And then I got really into swimming. I ended up being a Division 1 athlete, but at the same time, I was teaching swimming and I was teaching lifeguarding. And I just really enjoyed teaching. And I knew that even in dentistry, the second that I got the opportunity to come back and teach, that I would be doing it. And for years, and like I know we talk about this in the course, but for years, I would just make lectures and nobody had ever really asked me to speak. Like I just was going home at night, like creating content for the one day that somebody would say to me, like, hey, get on stage. And, when that happened, I was more than prepared because I had 100 lectures at that point kind of in my archive. And I just built the best of all of them. And I think the more rewarding part of teaching really comes from seeing the people that you teach really be successful. So I've been teaching for a few years with the Aesthetic Advantage group and seeing those doctors go out on their own and like kill aesthetic cases. I mean, that to me is more rewarding. I think having an impact on the profession that you're in through teaching is actually one of the most important things in terms of a legacy.
And you mentioned, how much you love seeing like your students really thrive. What do you think
Yeah.
is, what do you think's like a hard part actually of teaching? What's like a challenge that you see like all of your students face?
Yeah. So I think when we go to teach, just the fact that people are on different levels, right? Like during our course in New York, I was really excited because we had a few students that reached out and like wanted to come to this course. And, to teach students at the same time as you're teaching practitioners that have been out for years and years and years, how do you make sure that they don't get discouraged, that like maybe they don't understand something right away? So I think breaking it down and just like having no ego about it, like no question is a silly question. I remember when I would ask those questions to my instructors and I would be like embarrassed to. And for me, it's like I almost push people outside their comfort zone, like going and standing in the back of the room and be like, I'm going to sit and give the rest of my lecture from here and like make you really uncomfortable. Like things like that, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think you just find a way to relate with people and hopefully they take a lot away from the course that you're teaching and the feedback has been great. So hopefully that's true.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually just telling my friend, right when I got here, one of the things that stood out to me when I took your course is like I was like a D4 amongst like a bunch of these like grown-up dentists, right?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about learning from you was you did not baby me. You were like just as like critical on me, but then also you like knew when to give me positive feedback, and I liked that you
Yeah.
didn't treat me any differently than anyone else. That was like special because I was like, oh, like I'll understand if she babies me because like I'm like the D4 that's here, but no,
No.
she didn't hold back.
I think that's a good way to learn though. I mean, I think it's and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little later. I think like I've always been in the presence of male energies, and like it's kind of like a take no bullshit kind of thing where there's no like, oh, you'll do better next time. It's like, no, figure your shit out. Like, so I think I am very much like that when I teach. But I think I do have a soft spot for, for people that are willing and wanting to learn, and that's exciting to me.
That's actually something I was thinking about on my way here, actually, was I was like, damn, like she is in such a male cosmetic dentistry for people listening. I have some people that aren't even dentists, they're other different health professions listening. Cosmetic dentistry and dentistry in general has long been like a very like male dominated kind of field. What's it been like
Yeah.
paving your own way and paving the way for other women in this field?
I love it. I think and I take it I really take that on. I think that it is not easy being a woman in any field. And I don't mean to like pull that card or anything like that. But what I'll say is I really struggled for years to pave the road that I've now am walking on. And I think that I never thought of it as a barrier. I always thought of it as a challenge. And I always joke that my mother and father, they named me Andy. They named me a boy's name because they knew that I could hang out with the boys.
I love that.
But I think that, like any profession, it's gonna have its pros and cons. I kind of love walking into lecture halls or walking into, things that I'm speaking at and being the only woman on the stage. I think it's really cool. I think um, if I could do it, any woman can do it. And I think we need to have more of that in the future of this profession, really.
I love that. You have this kind of like persistence and this tenacity. I have to think like maybe part of it is because, you were that D1 athlete like you mentioned, you had that level of training. Tell us a bit about that. It was for swimming, right? And water polo?
Yeah, so I was a swimmer my whole life. I was a swimming instructor. I used to teach swimming lessons to students. I became a lifeguard. I swam for St. Francis College Division One and played water polo. I never played water polo before I joined the water polo team, but I was a great swimmer, so it was very easy to learn how to transition. And I think, being a double major like bio and chem in undergrad and then traveling and, having 6 a.m. practices and lunchtime practices and nighttime practices and still having to study really taught me how to balance things and how to juggle things really well. I remember I'd be like on the bus to like different sporting events, and I would be like the one in the back, like reading my textbook while everybody else had fun. But I think it really did structure my life to be successful because I had to make the most with the little amount of time that I had. And that definitely carried over to me practicing now, and definitely with my crazy schedule. People joke when they follow me on Instagram. They're like, either she's in an airport or she's doing someone's teeth, like one or the other, because that's just my life. And I love that. I love the challenge of being able to do it all.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing when
Well,
you
you
figure it all out.
I was actually just gonna say you make it look really easy, so I think that's like the hard part. I'm curious, what's your favorite part of swimming? Is it like the racing part itself, or did you like was there some art to it?
I liked that it was a team sport, but it was also an individual sport. So I really liked being able to like shine as an individual swimmer, but it's a team environment where you are only as good as your teammates getting wins also. So it really kind of helps you to push along. And then I really enjoyed water polo because like I felt like it was a great way to get out like any aggression that I had. Like you just like you guys see what happens on the top of the water, but underneath the water, like you beat the shit out of each other, and it's pretty aggressive. I definitely had a concussion when I was in
Oh my
college
gosh.
one time, and that wasn't so fun. But it definitely is. It's an exciting sport, and like I enjoy it so much. I'm glad to have been a part of that team for 4 years. It was really nice.
Hearing about that water polo aggression totally makes me think about that scene at the end of Mean Girls where Regina picks up, she channels her energy into like lacrosse and she's just like checking people left and right. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have picked up like one of these sports. I was just doing the whole non-contact sport, the whole thing. I did track, but I'm like, man, I should have had that contact.
Telling you, it translates now. Like I work with a trainer 3 to 4 times a week, and like now that aggression is like with lifting weights. And like,
Mm.
let me tell you something. When I get a good workout, and I have the most energy that I've ever had, and it's great to start the day like that. It really is. You know.
Have you tried well, so here in Boston they have something called like Everybody Fights or something. It's like kind of like a boxing kind of workout routine. Do you have that in New York?
I've done boxing. I'm like a decent boxer. I used to train boxing a lot just because of that aggression thing, and I had to
Yeah.
like hit something. But it's really hard on your hands and your wrists, and like I was like, oh, I need to have a long profession. Maybe we shouldn't be doing
Right,
this
right,
so
right.
aggressively.
That's
But
so
it's
funny.
fun, you know.
Yeah. So, sports and dentistry aside, I kind of want to get to know, like the real Andy. Tell us about a challenge that doesn't involve necessarily school settings or things like that, but something that you've had to overcome that you feel like has really become a part of yourself now.
Wow, that's we're getting deep today. Okay, I'll share something. And I share these things sometimes with patients, but I don't think I've ever really shared it with like my Instagram community or a lot of people that know me. I was in high school when I lost my dad. And that was really, really hard for me. It
I'm so
was
sorry.
a very tricky time. No, I mean, things like this happen. And then a few years after that, I lost my really good friend, my brother, and my mother in a very short period of time. And, I, as a young child, like dealt with my dad's passing. I had to be like the adult in the family, even when I was in high school.
Mm,
And I think that always taught me to really live life. Like, and I'm talking about like, I don't really think about tomorrow necessarily because I know that whatever I'm doing today serves that purpose. And I think that when you experience loss of like that magnitude of so many people close to you, you actually hold on to your friendships a lot more than you think because they become your family. And I think losing people, it really has an impact on you, and it pushes you to, in a sense, make them proud. Like if they were here, you would have wanted to make them proud. So that's something I always kind of keep with me, and it's a little deep and it's a little dark, and I didn't mean to like get so crazy, but it's something that like a lot of people just don't know about me. And
mm,
it makes like holidays and birthdays like hard, and like my staff at Christmas time, like I was like, can we just shut the Christmas music off? And they just looked at me like I'm the freaking Grinch. And really, it's because it was just so hard for me to realize that it was Christmas. Like I booked a flight and flew all day Christmas because I just didn't want to like know that it was Christmas. And so it's my like coping mechanism of how I deal with things. But the way that I've always dealt with it is to push to be as successful as I can possibly be on my own right. And I think no matter what you've gone through in your life, it could be really, really traumatic. You could still be very, very successful in everything that you do if you really put your whole heart into what you're passionate about?
100%. I think that's, from talking to people that have faced different levels of grief and loss and things like that, from what I hear, it sounds like some of the hardest parts is kind of reconciling the fact that like life continues to move on without them and it's trying to, I guess, like continue on in that way. What advice do you have for anyone that's currently going through loss and grief, whether, maybe they're in dental school or something like that?
I don't think I'm the best person to give you advice because I don't think I dealt with it well growing
Mm,
up. I think I definitely looked to just like burying myself in work, which can be a good distraction, but you still have to deal with those thoughts. And I think it's only like more recently I've become more open about like talking about it. And I think talking about it makes it a little better, because it's like maybe people don't understand why I'm the way I am because I've gone through so much. But at the same time, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm always going to push towards being the best version of myself for everybody that I meet, that knows me now. And I would just say, like, don't bury your emotions. Like, it just will come to a tipping point and you'll have to deal with it sooner or later. But it's just not, it's not the easiest thing for people to talk about. But I know for the people that I've shared things with, that they've gone through similar things, they were just appreciative that I, put that out into the world. So, if you're struggling, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll make it through. You just have to fight,
I can totally understand. I think a lot of us have experience with kind of like burying our feelings, especially in this field where it's so like go, go, go. It's almost like easy to, because like a lot of times our feelings are kind of detached from like how hard we have to work to get where we want to
Yeah.
be. And that's why things like, I know recently, like you've like fallen in love with the working out and lifting weights. Like you said, there's like certain cathartic things that you can do that are like healthier channels for that energy. What's your current like favorite workout, I guess, like what's your favorite like workout like system? Because I know like there's like
Okay.
glute day, there's back day, there's chest. What's your favorite?
My trainer's gonna die when she hears this. I swear to you. So I, about a year ago, started training with a new trainer, and I've lost about 45 pounds since I started this journey.
Wow.
And I feel like a different person when I look back at those pictures of me when I was heavier, because I don't think I was happy
Mm.
internally. And now, like, I really enjoy that time that I get to work out. And my trainer, Chanta, and I have a really great bond. I respect her immensely. She's more than just a training coach. Like, she's she really helps my mental health. Like, I can talk to her. I never feel judged. Like, if I have a bad day food wise, she's like, okay, just do better tomorrow. Like, let's just refocus and do better. But me and her, since we started training, I always would see these girls on Instagram like hip thrusting like a lot of weight, and I was like, Chanta, I want to hip thrust like 300 pounds. And she's like, okay, let's start like at 50. And then, so we've worked our way up, and we're about up to like 285, which is amazing. And it's something that, like, it's a great challenge for me. And then the other thing, when I just started working out, I could barely plank for like 5 seconds. And now I can plank like 2 minutes. And I think
No
for me,
way.
it's like a mental thing. Yeah, it's so like I can't believe I couldn't do it a year ago. And now I can do it so well. So for me, I think when I have something that's really challenging me, like, that's when I'm like, I gotta get better at this. Like, I will focus all of my attention to getting better at this. And I think that carries over into dentistry pretty well, that characteristic.
No, like 1000%. I actually want to tell the audience a little story about you. This is like one of the stories I think I heard about you pretty early on. And that's when I was like, this woman is a beast. So this story goes all the way back to when you were applying to dental schools. For everyone listening, her dream school was NYU. She used to drive by that little sign that used to say like NYU, like Rosenthal Aesthetic Institute, and every day she would say like, someday I'm gonna be there. What happened was, like real life happens. So she was actually waitlisted at NYU. And what she did was, there's some people that send up like a follow up email. There's some people that, just let it be. They go somewhere else. She called the
Not
dean of
me.
admissions week after week, updating her on everything you learned in school, right? And like how much you knew NYU was right for you. Tell the
Yeah,
audience what she said when she called, when she finally responded.
so I don't do anything the normal way. So I found the internal number for the NYU system of what her direct line. So this line would bypass her front desk, which I don't think she has anymore because of me, because I've told this story. And I remember calling her every week. I would call her every Friday morning at like the same time. And, you know, she would appease me. I'd be like, oh, you know, I was shadowing this week and I learned this. And like, I really hope you'll consider me. And, you know, these are the other things that I'm doing to improve my application. Like, because my application was strong. I was a student athlete and like I had a good GPA, but it wasn't spectacular. And, you know, I remember I caught her at a bad moment and she said to me, she's like, Andi, when I want to talk to you, I'll call you. And she hung up. And I was like, oh, I don't think it looks pretty good. I don't think it looks any good anymore. This is not going to be good. But like, I'll tell you the positive part of that story. I stopped calling and I really like was hurt. Like, this woman had like crushed my dreams. Like at that point in my life, that's the only dream I had was to go to dental school, you know?
Right.
And so like a month goes by, I end up getting into UPenn. And I remember the night before, I'm like, shit, this is not right. Like I shouldn't be going to UPenn. I should be going to NYU. I'm a New Yorker. Like this is what I love. You know, I love, like I had a going away party. Okay. My friends were like, bye, even though you're an hour later, you're in a different planet.
Yeah.
And I remember the night before I just wrote a letter to the dean of admissions at NYU. And I just said to her, I'm like, listen, like if there's any shot of this happening, like you have to know that like the time is now. It's now or never. And so I didn't tell anybody about this. I was moving in Philly and it was a freaking 3-story walk up, 101 degrees that day in August, moving in. Okay.
Oh my
gosh.
So
I get upstairs and we're bringing up these ACs, right? Because it was so hot. And I take my phone and I put it right on top of the AC, like at the end of that adventure. And my phone rings and it's a 212 area code. And I'm like,
did you think it was her right away? Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. And I'm like, hello? And I'm like standing, looking out the window at my new block that I just signed the lease for. Okay. And I'm like, hello? They're like, she's like, this is Dr. Mejia. Like, I wanted to check in with you. Is this Andi? I'm like, yeah. She's like, Andi, I know that this is going to sound crazy, but welcome to NYU. I just took all my stuff and went right back to New York. I was like, bye. It was one of those days that you'll always remember, like exactly every moment, you know, about it. I'm sure you can relate, like to you getting into dental school, right? You remember every feeling, every emotion of like clicking that thing. Did I get in? You know, like, it's such an amazing thing. And you know, I think about like how different my life would be if I went to UPenn. I'd probably be like a pediatric dentist, to be honest with you.
Really?
My mom was always pushing me that way. Yeah. Or like an oral surgeon or something like that. I don't know that I would be the same Andi as I am now, you know?
Yeah.
NYU really, really helped to shape a lot of of who I am. Like I would sit in lectures and I would learn from people like Dr. Larry Rosenthal. And for me, it was like looking at God talk and like to tell you like, Andi, in dental school, fast forward a few years, you're going to be sharing an office with this person. Like, I never would have believed you. Even now, like I said, I was telling a friend the other day, I was like, oh, I'm going to Rosenthal's to watch football. And
oh my gosh.
Like, you and Rosenthal just hang out like that? I'm like, yeah, he's like my father. Like, I love him to death. He's like, I care about him so much. He literally has helped me so much evolve as a human being, as a clinician, mentally and like emotionally. You know, like dentistry could be hard. He became like my therapist. Like, well, let's think about how you should handle this. Let's talk about how you should talk to the patient. And I think having that mentorship was like, it's an amazing thing. Who would have known, like Andi driving by that sign on First Avenue, the Rosenthal Institute, that I would have been with that. Like, it's such foreshadowing, you know?
Right,
like,
right.
It's so crazy to me, you know?
I feel like your story is such a testament to what happens when you follow like that gut feeling. Like you just knew. You like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a part of you that doesn't know because I'm sure that when the dean of admissions hangs up on you, that's got to be like a crushing feeling. Did like 1% of you think there was still a chance? Were you still kind of like, all right, maybe I'll come back in 2 weeks instead of one?
No. Oh, one thing about me, I am the most stubborn human being. So like there was no shot that I was calling again. Like
Mm,
I was being persistent and I was being respectfully persistent. But like when somebody says no, I'll call you, I was like, I'm not calling her again. Like that.
mm.
And you know what she actually said to me on the phone? She said to me, she's like, you stopped calling. I was like, wow, the last time we spoke, you were less than and we joke about it now. Like to be very honest with you, I love her to death. She was single-handedly the person who changed the course of my life. So I
Mm,
have so much respect and love for her because she really does this for people every single day. Like she
right.
is the determining factor of like success in a sense, for these students that she lets into school, and she really upholds that responsibility really well, so it's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like insane how people's paths can change depending on, like you said, like one person's decision.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, like personally, like I don't really believe in like luck or destiny. It's more like I think like you set yourself up for these opportunities and when it comes you're ready,
Absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
I'm kind of curious from your perspective, like it's so easy to look at your journey and be like, she gets everything she wants. Like it always works out for her. I'm sure there have had to been times, even if not in school, maybe with like personal relationships or things like that. When have you had like a disappointment where it actually ended up being a blessing in disguise?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I got a good one for this. Um, I was applying for the match system because in New York State, you have to do a 1 year residency. So I was at the time in my fourth year really loving dentistry because I was in this honors program, which really shaped who I am today, this program. And I remember like I was having a hard time. Like it was, around the time of some passings, and I missed a lot of the deadlines for the places that were like amazing to go to for residency. And I remember I really wanted to go to this one hospital in Brooklyn, and I had an interview. I brought like a whole portfolio book of all the pros cases I had done in my fourth year. And there was a lot, like they were all like laminated photo, like I went crazy. Like you saw the
Right.
manual for art of ceramics. This
Yep,
was
love it.
50 times better. Yeah. So I went there like ready to go. And like I was really excited for this interview. And then, I, during match day, obviously did not match to that place. But in my portfolio, in my book, there was a girl whose teeth I had done, and she got into the program over me. And I was
You're
just laughing.
kidding.
And she actually is a prosthodontist now, like good on her. Like she had a great career. But like I always looked at it and I'm like, I really wanted to go to this program. And I thought my world was over. But the truth is, it wasn't. I went to another program. I learned a ton. I made great friends at my program that I now travel to see and are practicing. Like, of my year that I was in residency,
Hmm.
there's me and one other girl that just didn't specialize. All of the other residents, 17 of them, are either endodontists, pedodontists, orthodontists, periodontists. Like, they're all specialists. So it's kind of an interesting thing that I ended up at a program like that with and made so many great friends. And, hindsight, like maybe I shouldn't have been at that program that I wanted to be in. Maybe I had better life experience, wiring jaws shut at 4 o'clock in the morning
Oh my gosh.
than I would have at a VA program, which would have been a lot less heavy lifting, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, life is funny like that sometimes, you never know. You just got to kind of keep pushing down that path, and you never know what's going to happen from it.
Yeah, I think that's like the fun part of like life is kind of being able to look back and be like, that was funny that that happened and that I thought it was gonna work out that way.
I'm flipping the script. So tell me tell me about you. How about you? Like,
Yeah.
what was one thing that happened that you said, like, shit, like I wanted that and I got this. Like, what,
Oh my gosh.
anything in your life?
So many. The most pivotal thing I can think of was, so back in pharmacy school, like undergrad pharmacy school. I forget if I told you or not. So I went to pharmacy school first.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so basically, straight out of high school, I was just this like lost like bundle of energy. I was as like energetic as I am now, but no direction. I knew I wanted to do healthcare or something like that. But
Yeah.
when I was 18, I ended up going to a pharmacy, like the 6-year advanced like doctorate of pharmacy program, just because
Yeah.
it was financially what was, honestly, it was because it was financially I could afford it. Um, but like when I was in pharmacy school, my whole identity was being an orientation leader. That was like my job on campus. I was like, Connie, the orientation leader. Everyone's like, yeah, Connie, the orientation leader. That was my whole identity. Well, turns out I actually got fired from that position after 1 year. I was so heartbroken. There was just like so much that, like, my whole identity was that, right? And so when I was fired that summer, I stayed at home. I watched all my orientation leader friends do their thing. I kind of finally had the first like lapse of time where I could sit and be with myself and not be so go, go, go on the move. And that's when I really got real with myself. And I was like, do I actually want to be a pharmacist? Like, why am I here right now? And so the greatest blessing in disguise was getting fired and having that summer free, because that was the summer where I was super sad about it. I turned to arts and crafts to like kind of cope with my feelings, and that's when I was like, I wish there was arts and crafts and healthcare that I could like change people's lives with. And the rest is history. That's how I ended up here.
Wow, that's so great. See, like
Yep.
everyone has these moments, and I think it's only years later when you look back, you see how important that one moment was in your direction changing. I mean, that's huge. That's
And
huge.
you're so right. You feel like your life like ended, which is like kind of funny
Yeah,
because it's like this is just the beginning, baby girl. Like it's just that's like how
yeah,
it's starting. But
yeah.
yeah, we all have those feelings. I love that you flipped the script. No one's ever done that on me. I love that. It's
I
so
want to
fun.
know about you. I'm sure your audience wants to know about you as well. Like that's why
Yeah.
they're watching this, you know?
We talked about now, like Andy in high school, Andy in dental school. Now, present day, you have become so massively successful. You work with like some of the biggest names in like names. Like you work with the biggest people ever. What do you think after meeting so many people, hearing so many like actual real stories from these wealthy, famous people? What's something that fame, money, all of that stuff can't really buy?
Oh, it's so easy. Health. Health
Yeah.
is health is a really important thing. You know, I think in this profession, one thing that they don't teach you in dental school is the fact that you, as a practitioner, are going to deal with death of your patients over time. And you know, I've seen some patients, you know, be at like the pinnacle of health, and then just their health just declines. You know, things like that. That like again, it really forces you to think internally. It's why I lost all the weight. Is like I can't be my healthiest version of me for my patients if I'm not being true to myself and being healthy. But you know, if there's one thing that I could trade, I'll trade all the money, I'll trade all the, you know, the nice apartment, everything I have. Just give me my dogs and my health, and I'll be just as happy as I am today. And I think people really underestimate that highly. The fact that, you know, you're healthy and you can do dentistry. You know, I have a few friends that are like now disabled, they can't do dentistry anymore, they can't do what they love. And like that's such a, like if somebody took that away from me, I don't know what I would do with myself. I'm sure I'd figure out something
Yeah,
by
I'm sure you'd be fine.
myself, but like I don't know what I would do because I love it so much. But you know, don't overestimate, like don't underestimate the factor of how important health is in your life. And really, if you have to invest in one thing, you know, someday, like when I first got this trainer, I couldn't really afford her. I
Mm,
figured out a way. Like when I tell people I have a trainer, they think I'm such a bougie bitch. But the truth is, like, I prioritize going out versus paying for my trainer. And I'm going to say to myself, like, I want this, like, this is what I'm going to do. And it's going to prioritize me and my health first. But
mm.
yeah, I mean, that's like such an important thing. And I don't think I had a good health, like life balance when I was in dental school. Even the first couple of years out, I definitely didn't, because I was just like
Mm.
so enamored by the glitz and the glam of all of it. And then I had to really kind of get serious with myself and say, like, well, why don't you like being on camera? Because there would always be a camera in my face when I was at work. And I'm like, why don't you like being on camera? You loved talking to people, and they like, I do. I loved it. I was a drama major in high school. I got into professional performing arts for my high school, and I decided not to go. Like, that was what I thought I was going to do. And, you know, it everything happens for a reason. Like, I'm here today because I, you know, decided that I was going to be something different. I was going to be the first doctor in my family. And, you know, life has a funny way of just kind of guiding you down these different roads. And, you know, the more people that you encounter, like all of my patients, they're such amazing people. There's a few that like come to mind. One of them right after COVID, she said to me, she's like, I lost all this weight and I'm emerging out of this COVID as a butterfly. And I loved that. Aww. I said the same thing. I was like, I want to be a butterfly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, it's such a crazy thing that like this, you know, you as a dentist, you can really have the impact that you know, could by changing someone's smile that really makes them feel good on the inside. And I think it's such a sight. I know we've gone like completely off path. But,
it's fine.
It's like such a like amazing thing when I get these messages months and months and years later, like, this was the best thing I ever did for myself. And I think that that is so special. And if there is anything that reassures me that I'm in the profession that is really something I love, it's when I get those messages. And they don't come right away. There's probably a couple bad ones that come before those good ones. Like, yeah, I'm in pain, I'm sensitive. I'm like, all right, like, this is the process, you'll get there. Right. But getting those messages it's really rewarding. And it's the same thing like when we do the courses, getting that good positive feedback that students have learned, like, we enjoy that. It keeps us going. It's like, it's really not about the money. Like, I swear to you, like, we take that money and we reinvest it into other things that we're working on to create amazing experiences. And like, if you took all the money away, I'd be okay with it. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's the truth. It really is, you know, like, for years where I worked, I would make a salary. And it would be the same salary whether I did hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of dentistry or not. And for me, it really allowed me to be passionate about doing what I was doing and not really think about how much money I'm going to make this week, because it was always set. So I think that that's something like for younger dentists, find jobs. Like, people always ask me, you know, what do I do like now that I'm out? Like, same thing. What are you going to do next year? Right. And did I tell you what my advice was? What was my advice to you?
So your voice message was to actually not lock myself down full time into one spot. Instead, you know, like, have maybe two jobs. One in some place where I can really build my skills, because obviously I'm still, you know, starting out. But then another with a foot in the door in a more kind of like, maybe like a more of a dream inspirational place. Something to keep that hope going.
Absolutely. And like, I say that all the time. And I'm the biggest hypocrite because I didn't do that. I went into one place and I worked the same place for 7.5 years. And it was the only thing I know. And looking back on it, yeah, it was great. It was amazing. But like, I didn't have that diversity of like doing different types of things. And I think like now, like my 35th birthday is coming up in April. And like, I'm thinking about like all these things, like, what do I want the next 5 years to look like? What do I want the next 10 years to look like? And so that's where I'm at now mentally, really figuring all of those things out of what does life really look like for me, you know, being self-sufficient and being out on my own, you know?
Is your horoscope sign a Taurus, the bull?
I'm an Aries, actually.
Oh, you're an Aries. Okay.
Very, very close.
I can so see that. Such Aries energy.
Very strong-headed. Oh, for sure.
I feel like you said something interesting earlier when we were talking about, you know, your patient's journey, that whole like how we want to be like butterflies too, you know, in our cocoon. I think like the beautiful thing about the journey of, well, I guess like life in general, is that you can really start the process of becoming a butterfly any day. Today, for anyone listening, you can start today if you decide today's the day that you want to change your life. What are some of your like goals for the future then?
That's a great question. Also, you really forcing a lot of internal like introspection today.
It's the cancer in me. What can I say?
It's okay. You're like my mother's sign. I get it. I get
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So, I think the next few years are really going to surprise a lot of people for what I have planned. For those of you that don't know me or know anything about me, like I recently left the job that I was in for 7.5 years to venture and kind of do this myself. And, it's a interesting journey in that like I feel super successful because we've had 2 successful courses in January. We just sold out a third one. And like I'm building a place and like a place that is my dream place. It's the place where when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited to go to this place. And I think it's going to be a really special and unique experience for patients. And I think this next part of my life is about making myself happy on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, and health-wise. And I think what this next journey is going to be like, it's going to be hard, and it already is. And there's a lot that I'm learning as I go. But I have no doubt that this next chapter will be as successful, if not more successful than, the last few years of my life. So I'm really excited. And I think it comes with like change and internal change. Like you just grow out of things sometimes. And I'm really excited to venture forward. And like, if I'm successful, amazing. If I'm not, that's okay too. I can figure out different ways of, supporting myself and really being successful in terms of finances. That's okay. But I need to know in my heart that I did this for me. And that's what year 35 is going to be about.
I love that. I think everyone listening to this right now, everyone has a different idea of what success means to them. What does success look like and mean to you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is really teaching. Like me and my business partner, Elon, and my friend and the lecturer, Rodri, that I lecture with, we always, when we sit and powwow about things, we talk about like leaving an impact on this profession. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from a practicing standpoint. I think teaching very realistic pearls at a course is really important. And I've spent money on courses, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and I've gotten nothing out of it sometimes. And so I want people to like walk away from our courses or anything that I'm a part of. I want them to feel like they got a little piece of me and they bring it back with them, whether it's their smile, whether it's them learning a technique, like that, I think builds true character in a person, and the ability to do that consistently is a very difficult thing also.
Yeah, I think it's like such a testament to your true like skill and talent as a teacher is kind of seeing like that's the impact that you're going to make. Because you're right, everyone can make a different impact, like whether it's like clinically or like, whatever. And for you, it's kind of like literally as one of your students that has actually experienced your course, it's like I came home with so much like Andi zest for cosmetic dentistry. Also, I'm never gonna call it a stump shade. Never, not a stump shade. Not there's little things like that I just can't go back to now.
Success! I've converted one at least.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
Yes, 100%.
Drives me freaking crazy. I can't even. Anyway,
it makes so much sense. Yeah, I mean, just like being able to like witness you like on that stage, that is like where you're meant to be. And I think, to me at least, one of my definitions of success is when you see someone like living their authentic truth, and I can just tell like when you're on that stage teaching that you are like in the zone, you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And like that's beautiful. I don't think we need any like metrics, like numbers or like whatever to measure success. As long as you're up there being your real self teaching, I think that's definitely like successful to me. Watching
100%.
you. Yeah.
100,000%. It really like, and it's amazing that people see that, like, you followed me on social, like you knew me through social media. And I think one of the important things, or one of the things people say to me a lot, it's like, you're just like you are on social, because I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a facade. This is who I am. You know, I share my world with my social media family, and you know, I share a lot of the successes and I share a lot of the failures too. And I think it really allows me a platform to kind of voice how I feel.
Mm.
And you know, if people like it, great. If you don't follow me. It's okay. I'm okay without that
She's a New
following.
Yorker. She can handle that.
Swipe, delete, block, goodbye.
Yep.
You know, like that's how I live my life these days, and it is what it is. But
I love that.
cool.
Leave the audience with where they can find you on social media and how they can like stay up to date with what you're up to.
Awesome. So I'm at Aesthetics by Andi with an A, A-N-D-I, Aesthetics by Andi. I'm sure you'll write it in the comments for me.
Yes.
And you can find me on Stribe, STRIBE.dental online. That's my company that we do continuing education on. And very soon you'll find my new website. Hopefully by the time this goes live, my new website where you can find me to see me as a patient will be on my social media as well. So I'm working on that as well today. Got to get that website live, you know?
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Andi. I mean, it's been so valuable, and I've learned so much, and I'm sure the audience has learned so much. So we really appreciate it.
Connie, can I say one thing before we go?
Of course.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
Connie, I want to recognize and commend you. Okay, because I have been invited to many podcasts before where people didn't even know who I was, had no idea who I was, and just interviewed me to interview me. And I have to say, like, after seeing you in New York, being like so amazing and excited, like, you have a super bright future, and don't let anybody, any person, anything that happens in your life deter you from what you want in your heart. Okay. And if anything is weighing you down, you send me a message and I'll bring you right back, because you have a really bright future. So I just want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, Andi, I wore waterproof makeup today, so thank God. But like, listen, girl, I wasn't ready. Also, I'm so happy I kept the recording button going on, because sometimes I forget to I turn it off before. So now I have an improved. I can't wait to play this for my mom. My mom's gonna freak out.
I love it. Your mom should be so proud.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.